I have a question. So we have a public hearing scheduled for December. Do we have any idea how that's going to work?
It has to be on Zoom at this point in time. We don't know how deliberative session is going to work yet.
Okay. That's kind of my question. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we don't know.
All right. I mean, yeah, it would, I think, well, actually, Mike, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to go back on a couple of things that Steve had said. You said that you put in place a hiring freeze, correct?
I did, but we have lifted that.
You have lifted that, okay. So I guess that kind of brings me into my next question. If we were to take a look at employees this year compared to last year, would we be similar, higher, lower?
We did add one police officer. Other than that, we'd be similar.
And with the hiring freeze gone, are you anticipating any new hires?
Well, we're working with the school district to hire the facilities director. We have a memorandum of understanding that the school board approved, and now the council needs to approve that as well. And then we'll move from there.
Okay, and the reason I ask obviously is because I'm sure that a very large portion of the budget is employee.
Absolutely.
You know, with benefits and wages and everything else. So that's basically what I was asking for. Thanks, Steve.
No problem.
Other questions? All right, hearing no others. Steve, thank you for your time this evening. We appreciate it as always.
Thanks.
Dr. Givens, how are things going with the school district?
Well, they've been a little zooey.
We've noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, so the uptick in COVID in our area, not just in our community, but in the area, has certainly had an impact on, you know, our educational programming and how we deliver it to our students. And it has taken an enormous amount of time tracking down and doing contact tracing. So that is unanticipated, you know, time out of other things that we would normally be doing. So the other thing we're working on, of course, is trying to pull together the FY22 budget. I was hoping to work on that today, but again, have spent the entire weekend and the day focused on COVID. So I was not able to make progress in pulling that together, but we will be providing an overview presentation to the board on Thursday evening. And we will make sure that we get a copy of the budget to the members of the budget committee. If not by the end of this week, early the following week. So at least you know what the proposed budget entails.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. The preliminary budget calendar that we sent out, do you see anything on there that looks unrealistic from your standpoint?
No, it at least it feels like I read it about 3 weeks ago. That's the way my days have gone lately. But I remember when I took a peek at it, it seemed consistent with what we were with our budget calendar and what we were looking for. So I don't, anticipate any challenges there, at least for the moment.
Okay, and the last question I had, I guess, before I open it up to the committee members. So I know the school district does have a couple of spaces that could be suitably sized if we wanted to do an in-person meeting. And we tentatively planned to do this once in the past, and then it fell through because the room was needed for distributing equipment to the teachers. But if we wanted to do an evening budget committee meeting at either the high school cafetorium or in the elementary school, I'm not asking you to put it in stone right now, but does that sound like something the school district could support?
Well, the cafetorium and the cafeteria, both schools are currently filled with materials that we had to move out of classrooms and are set aside for staff lunches. So it's not a situation where we we can easily clear all of that out, and the fire chief would not be pleased if we, you know, put it in another location. So as much as we'd love to be able to host a lot of things right now, you know, COVID's impacting us in so many different ways that it does create challenges. Yeah, what we use when we're having a meeting, not a large meeting, of course, but is the library media center at the high school. We use that frequently, but I don't, that it's not a larger space than the town hall auditorium. So I'm not sure that space would be helpful.
I see.
Yeah. I'm not, you know, I don't know what the square footage is, but I could certainly check with Steve and see if the library's bigger. And if that's a space that we might be able to use. We certainly have tables and, you know, equipment there that would allow us, you know, to maybe have Tim join us and videotape a meeting. So that might be an option.
Well, we appreciate that. Zach, you look like there was something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I did. I know that this is something that Steve has kind of been tossing back and forth with the town council too, especially with respect to the upcoming budget committee presentations that we're going to have. I think that you'll find that both the town and the school are not really in a place right now to be able to have the full board meet with, you know, the other boards in person. And I think that that's something that we're going to have to come to terms with in the next couple of weeks as we start our presentations.
I mean, yeah, we just need to figure out what is possible. I personally, I greatly value having at least those in-person working sessions with
Completely agree with you.
with you know, the town and the school district folks. It's just so much easier to get an understanding of what people's comfort levels are, and you know, it's challenging to do it this way. And yeah, I hear what Steve is saying. I can't even imagine what we're going to do for the deliberative session. That's going to be the ugliest Zoom meeting in the history of ugly Zoom meetings. It really, that's going to be really, really difficult to do if we have to do it that way. So, you know, again, I'm not asking for any sort of commitment from anybody at this time, just asking folks to think about it. Other questions for the school district? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Dr. Gibbons. We appreciate your time this evening.
Alrighty, I will touch base with Steve. He and I are doing a Zoom call tomorrow, and I'll try to learn more about the size of the auditorium and then compare that to the size of our primary meeting room, which is the library media center at the high school, and let you know if we have a little more space than the town hall can accommodate. And if so, you know, we'd happy to, you know, invite people in to have meetings in there in the evening.
Okay.
You on that?
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So now I'd like to move along to the minutes of our last meeting. I read through them right before this, and everything in there pretty much comported with what I remember from last time. Anybody have any corrections or edits? Or Roger?
Yes, on page 3.
Mhm.
Okay, the bottom of page 3, I guess 3 paragraphs up from the bottom, starting
Yep.
with Mr. LaMattina.
Yes.
The last full line of that, and said he expected to see legislature filed in November. I think it should be legislation.
I do believe you're correct. Thank you for that. So that's my version, which happens to have line numbering. That's line 116 on page 3.
And then in the, not the next, but the, skip down 2 paragraphs to one starting Representative Luno.
Yes.
Towards the end of this, can email me directly. It should be him directly.
That's absolutely correct. Thank you. Jeff,
We need a motion.
there's a reason that you're second in command. That's a very good point. I entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the September 28th, 2020 Budget Committee meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Zach. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, and if everybody will just stipulate to the 2 items that Roger pointed out previously, we can continue to move along here. Anybody see anything else that needs clarification or correction? Going once, going twice. All right, all those, or we'll do a roll call vote, I'm sorry, in favor of accepting the minutes of the September 28th Budget Committee meeting as corrected by Roger's 2 corrections. Jeff,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Roger,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
sorry, Mike,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Zach.
Abstain.
All right, the school district representative isn't present tonight. The chair votes aye. So we are unanimous with 2 abstentions approving the minutes from the last meeting. And the final item we have on our agenda tonight, I hope everybody had some time to take a look at the application of John Halsey to fill the open seat that we have on the Budget Committee. Welcome, John. If you'd like to just say a few words of introduction, explain why you'd like to be part of this, the floor is yours.
How are we doing? My name's John, and I've lived in New England for about 10 years now. I've been a homeowner in Newmarket since 2014, and you know, I really just wanted to get involved with local politics because obviously, you know, I hate to use the word politics, but you know, I think that I really want to affect some change in my community, and you know, I think a lot of focus gets put on national elections. You know, rightfully so. They certainly have they're important, but I just want to, you know, affect as much change as possible locally. And you know, was talking to Eric a little bit about this, and it seems like a great way for me to, you know, get involved with the town. And I love Newmarket, and you know, this is where I want to be, and this is where I want to raise kids. And I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm doing my part to, you know, that to help ensure, you know, that we have a bright future here. So thank you for letting me join the meeting tonight.
Do I detect a bit of a Southern or Western accent there?
Yeah, it's I'm originally from upstate South Carolina, so I moved up here about 10 years ago. So for some reason that Southern accent just doesn't seem to quite go away.
It took me about 10 years of living up here. I'm from Virginia originally,
yeah.
like, and not the part of Virginia you're thinking of either. The other part.
The other part, yeah.
Any questions from other committee members? Roger?
John, I didn't see a resume per se, so if you could tell us a little bit about who you work for and what your job is. And
Sure. Yeah. So for the last 10 years, I've worked for an industrial supply company, a Fastenal company. So for about 7 of those years, I worked in managerial roles. I managed a couple different stores where I, you know, had people that I was hiring and working with, had to, you know, manage inventory, go out and, you know, bring in new business, those types of things. And the past 3.5 years, I've been in a regional safety sales role. So what that means is I cover New England, and I go out and I work with customers and help them with their workplace safety, and for people that are buying their safety products from us. So since March, my work has looked quite a bit different. Usually, I'm out on the road and getting out and seeing people going into manufacturing facilities and that type of thing. But since March, I've largely been working from home, but I've still been quite busy just, helping, we're in the middle of a pandemic and a lot of people have had challenges getting the PPE and such that they need. And so that's what I've been spending a lot of time doing, is kind of quarterbacking a lot of that and making sure that, not only my customers have the PPE that they need, but also, government agencies and things like that as well.
Thank you.
Other questions? Going once, going twice.
Super exciting stuff, right?
Yeah, let me ask
Roger.
one more question.
Sure.
You said you like to see change. What sort of change do you see that we should be thinking about in Newmarket?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. This is all fairly new to me, but one thing that I've learned about recently is just I'm trying to understand how schools are funded, and that comes from a lot of property taxes and things like that, which I think can create some inequities, to put it that way. I guess in certain areas where maybe they're not bringing in the same amount of property taxes and things like that. So just trying to get a better understanding of how the stuff works and how I can be part of that.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for John? Mike?
Yes, I don't have a question, but if a motion is not in order, I'd like to make one.
It is absolutely in order.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to appoint John Halsey, is it?
Halsey, yes, sir.
Halsey, okay.
Like the Admiral.
To the Budget Committee, term ending March of 2020.
21.
2021, I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Mike. I believe that second was from Councilor Dumont.
That is correct.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote as we're required to. Jeff?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Roger?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We are unanimous with one abstention. John, welcome to the Budget Committee. We're very pleased to have you, and we're back to having full numbers again as we head into the upcoming budget season. Again, I want to quickly, while we have a minute, walk through the draft calendar that I sent out, more just from the standpoint of trying to get everybody familiar with. It sounds like this works well for the school district and for the town. Roger, question?
Mr. Chair, if you make sure that John has a copy of the budget
Absolutely.
book by the state.
Yeah, I'll
you.
talk to Steve about getting that to him. So we sit here today on October the 26th. It sounds to me as though we will have in hand the budgets approved by the town council and by the school district, or by the school board, within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But at a minimum, I think we're completely safe with the dates that I had put on here near Thanksgiving. So our next regularly scheduled meeting anyway would be November the 30th. I'm proposing that will be the date to get the presentation from the town manager on the town's budget. That at the follow, and again, we'll have an opportunity to ask questions. At the following meeting, December the 7th, we'll do the presentation and the working session for the school district's budget. December the 14th, we can do the public hearing on the town's budget. I'm assuming that it's pretty chancy to try to schedule meetings right around Christmas and New Year's. So my thought was we would do the public hearing for the school district's budget on January the 4th. January the 12th is the deadline for petition warrant articles. Any that come from the public have to be in by that date. I would like to reserve January the 14th at 7 p.m. That is not one of our regular meeting dates. That's a Friday or Thursday. I'm sorry. In case we need to do a separate public hearing on a petition warrant article. It's not likely. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think this has happened once in the past 6 years that a petition warrant came in. Actually, no, wait, I take that back. The Lamprey Health one.
We had at least one petition warrant, but we did have to have special, one time we had to have 2 special hearings one night. I think it was
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Right. I
Like
remember that.
day. So same thing like you've reserved here.
Right. I mean, at any rate, it's an uncommon event. It's sort of nobody anticipates it happening, but tentatively, and I'll probably ask Wendy to put out a notice at the same time we do our school district budget hearing, just so it's on the calendar, and then we can cancel it in the event that it's not needed. The 18th is Martin Luther King Day. The 19th is the state deadline for public hearings. So the good news is we'll be very safe, very far ahead of the state deadline. Everything has to be posted. All the warrants, budgets, and the default budgets have to be posted by the 25th. I'm expecting, and I forgot, I should have asked Steve this while we had him on the phone, but January the 30th looks like the most likely date for the deliberative session, with February the 6th being held for a snow date. And then March, under law, March the 9th will be election day, the second session of town meeting. So does anybody see any problems with this calendar as it's laid out? Zach?
No problems, but as of our budget workshop on Saturday, Steve said that there were no definite times for either the deliberative session or the actual any of those dates. So we're still waiting to hear back from that as well. But as soon as he gives that information to us, I'll make sure we pass it along to you.
All right, thank you. I was pretty sure the voting day was set by state law, but maybe that's up in the air.
That one I'm not positive on. It's the deliberative session that is still picky.
Okay. The deliberative session, I think we normally work backwards from, or work forwards from other deadlines, but you do want to have at least one good solid snow date built into the calendar, because oddly enough, it's usually been actual election day that's had more issues with weather than the deliberative session in the past few years. Roger?
I'm wondering if, let me go through something.
Yeah.
The town presents the budget to us on the 30th of November.
Mm-hmm.
We get to ask questions. Some of those questions may or may not be answered at that time. But we can get those answers, assuming we get those answers within the next 3, 4, 5 days. 2 weeks later, we're having the town public budget hearing, and it seems like we should have a chance. We might need the chance to discuss as a committee the response to questions that were not answered directly at the presentation meeting. So my question is, should we have a reserve date that, in case we need it, an additional working session prior to the public hearing, sometime between, sometime prior to the December 14th, but enough after the 30th that we could get answers to any questions we had. And then the same process with respect to school.
I mean, my bias is to say no, and I'll explain why. I mean, the town and the school budget presentations are usually pretty thorough. I can't, and I'm struggling. I can't remember people coming to them with questions. I mean, I guess I would ask, I guess, everyone to accept that last year's school budget presentation was a bit of an anomaly because we had a new superintendent who was working with rather poor records. So if we assume that this year is going to be a more orderly affair, I just can't remember in past years us having a lot of questions that the business administrator, town manager, and the superintendent weren't able to answer there. And then, again, we also have the entire public, we can absolutely discuss things during the public hearing. To the extent more information comes in. I mean, what I'm struggling with is this: if we schedule a meeting the week of Thanksgiving, I almost promise you that one or more people won't be able to make it. Jeff, did you have any thoughts on that?
We have the school working session December 7th, so it's before the public hearing, and that's our meeting, so we can add more to the agenda to discuss if questions came in, after the school session is over, I would assume.
Right, and there is plenty of flexibility between the town public hearing and the school public hearing. If we have to jam a meeting onto the calendar mid-December, there's room.
So let me just clarify. So on December 7th, after the school district has made their presentation, we could discuss town items. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, then that solves the problem. That
Okay,
solves the
good.
problem. Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Other thoughts, suggestions? All right, hearing none. Any other business that anybody wants to bring before the committee before we adjourn? Going once, going twice. All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, Roger.
Second.
Thank you, Zach. We'll do a roll call vote. Jeff,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Roger,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
and Zach.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are unanimous with one extension. John, I just saw your contact info in the chat, so thank you very much. And we'll see everybody in a month.
Thanks so
Good
much.
night.